Now, PC case fans move air into and out of the case, right? Sounds simple, but when it comes down to what fan you should buy for your case or cooler, things can get very confusing. And if you don't get the right fans, your system can overheat, and you don't want that. What's up everyone, Eric here and welcome to HardwareForGamers. And in this video I'm going to be going over my new fan testing method. But before I start, I've been getting a lot of comments from viewers that say I don't mention enough, please subscribe to the channel. So if you could help me out and please hit that subscribe button, that would be awesome. Thank you. Now I am sorry about this, but I will be putting out new videos for all the fans that I've already reviewed using this new testing and review style. I'll also be referring to this video in all of those videos rather than repeating myself every time. Now my old testing method wasn't bad. It did give a basic idea of what to expect from the fans, but this new testing should give you a much clearer picture on the overall performance of the fans. Now with that being said, this new testing still isn't perfect, and a lot of that comes down to my testing area, which is my desk, and my desk is in a large room with a lot of stuff in it. But this testing will give you a really good breakdown of all the fans. I'm also going to be structuring the fan reviews more like my case reviews, where I do an overview and review of the case and then compare it to the other cases I've tested. Now just substitute cases for fans and you get the idea. And this also means I'll be testing and reviewing only one fan per video. Now for the instruments, tools, and testing I'll be using to test all the fans, I guess I should start off with the acrylic sheets that I'll be mounting the fans to. There are two of them, one for 120mm fans and the other one is for 140mm fans. So yes, now I can test 140mm fans. Then depending on what I'll be testing for, I'll be fastening it to my small homemade wind tunnel, or I'll be sliding it into what I'm calling the fan saddle. To power the fans, I'll be using a benchtop power supply. I'm using a benchtop power supply rather than a motherboard so that I can manually control the voltages going to the fans. And yes, that means I'll be testing all the fans using voltage control, even if it is a PWM fan. To test the airflow of the fans, I'll be mounting the acrylic sheet to the wind tunnel and using an anemometer to measure the airflow in FPM, and that's feet per minute. Now the anemometer is attached to the wind tunnel and this is to get more consistent readings. Now to test the noise level of the fans, I'll be sliding the acrylic sheet into the fan saddle and I'll be using a sound meter to check the dBA of the fan. The sound meter will be located 12 inches above the fan for all tests, and the noise floor in my testing area is 32 dBA. I'll also be measuring the RPM of the fans using a tachometer, as well as taking audio recordings of the fans so that you can hear the actual tone or hum of all the fans. The microphone will be located right beside the sound meter, 12 inches above the fans for all the tests. Now I understand the instruments and tools I'll be using aren't top of the line, but this is what I have. So like and subscribe if you want more accurate testing, because that stuff isn't cheap. Either way, this will be giving you a really good idea on what to expect from the fans. Now moving on to the testing, I'll be splitting the testing into three groups: noise, airflow, and cooling performance. Noise will include the RPM, dBA, and audio recordings. Airflow will include all the FPM testing, so that's the non-obstructed tests, having a meshed front panel, and having a covered front panel. I'll also be doing a noise normalized test at 34 dBA. For the cooling performance, I'll be clipping the fans to a CPU cooler. For the 120mm fans, I'll be using the Deepcool Neptune White, which I recently lapped. And for the 140mm fans, I'll be using the Fantex PHTC14PE. Now I had to modify the two extra clips that I got with the cooler so that I can actually clip standard 140mm fans to the heatsink. And I'm running this test to see how well the fans will work on an air cooler or a radiator. Now I had to make this saddle thing because when I was testing high static pressure fans mounted into the wind tunnel, the fans were causing a lot of vibrations in the wind tunnel. And those vibrations were being picked up by the sound meter. That then would increase the dBA of those fans, making the testing invalid. So removing the fans from the wind tunnel seemed to be the best solution. Now these charts are just an example. These are not real fans. This is just to show the basic idea of what I want to be showing in the actual fan reviews. So in this chart, I'll be showing the RPM and dBA of the one fan being tested at 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 volts. And what we'll be looking for is how the fan curve changes as the voltage increases. For the FPM testing, again, this chart is just an example, and this chart will be showing the increase in FPM at 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 volts when you have no obstructions, as well as when you have a mesh front panel and when you have a covered front panel. And I hope this chart will make it easier to understand what the best use of the fan is, or at the very least show where you shouldn't be using this fan. The CPU cooler test is to render the barbershop scene in Blender, and this will be done using my test bench, which has a Ryzen 5 3600 overclocked to 4.2 GHz at 1.35 volts. I'll list the full test system in the description below, and I'll be running this test at 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 volts, and I'll be running this test twice at each voltage. The temperatures will be shown in Celsius and will be shown as a delta over ambient. Now, when it comes to comparing the fans to the other fans that I've tested, I won't be showing all the fans that I've tested in the charts, mainly because it becomes too hard to read. I'll be filtering the fans in the charts to show fans of similar performance and or price, or at least something along those lines anyways. Now this is what I'll be starting with, but I am open to any suggestions that you guys or girls may have to help make things easier to read and or understand. If you do, just leave them in the comments below. Now again, this chart is just an example. Now when comparing the fans, I'll be showing the same fans in each comparison chart in each fan review. So I won't be switching up the fans from chart to chart. Now each of the fans will keep the same color from each chart, so you'll be able to follow what fan is what on each chart. And I'll be breaking up the FPM charts so that the first chart will just be non-obstructed FPM, the second chart will be the mesh panel, and the third chart will be the covered panel. I'm breaking it out like this so you can view only the chart or charts that you are interested in, and again, to try to keep things as easy to read as possible. I'll also be showing the noise normalized tests with the fans set at 34 dBA. I will be reporting the non-obstructed FPM. Now again, if you do have any suggestions or ideas on how to convey or deliver the information, leave them in the comments below. Now when it comes to my recommendations on if you should buy the fan, I'm going to try my best and do the same thing that Gamers Nexus does, and that is to not really give one. And what I mean by that is no one fan can suit every situation. Now I will indicate to you what the fan will be best suited as, or if the fan just sucks and should be avoided, but I'm not going to say you should buy it. I'm going to give you, the viewer, as much information as I can so that you can make an informed decision on what you should buy in your situation. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say, so if you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you're still watching, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified whenever I drop a new video. Please follow me on Twitter at HFG_YT. And as always, thank you for watching and see you next time.